The Hawks are in LA to face the LA Kings. Join us for the pregame show coming up next. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks pregame show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use our code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm, Putz McGee. That's Greg Boysen. That's Mario Tirabassi. We are here for your pregame show today. Back at full strength for the holiday season. Got to line Greg's pockets a little bit ahead of Christmas. That's the idea. Get him in here.
I'm for it.
Thanks for being with us. Do us a favor, smash that like button for us. We would really appreciate that. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. I know this is not podcasted, but you're going to want to catch the postgame show if you're a podcast listener. So make sure you're following or subscribed on your favorite podcast app. As well, Hawks back for, they're going to have back-to-backs against the LA Kings, looking to build on the performance of last game, and they've got the exact same lines.
That's a good way to try and roll it over.
Right.
Is have the exact same guys playing.
Well, why don't we hear from head coach Jeff Blashill, and then we'll share the exact lineup with you, and then get into breaking this one down next.
Sam Renzel only had, one shift in the third period last night. What's not working there?
Well, he's actually done some good stuff. I just last game he had made a few kind of defensive things that we want to make sure he gets corrected, and sometimes that that results in not playing. But I think overall, honestly, I think he's played more good hockey than not, and it's just part of the process. I think, when he's at his best, he's controlling the puck, and it's learning, how much time and space you have at this level, and it's just something as he gets stronger, I think will help him too. But he's still kind of figuring some of that out. And then I just think body position defensively is a big one for him. If when his body position is good defensively, you just ultimately don't give up as many kind of easy chances. So I expect him to have a good game here tonight. He's again, I think he's played more good hockey than not.
So he is playing by himself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've talked about for some of the young guys learning that even when they don't have their legs, how to play competently. And I guess I don't really have a follow-up question on that, but just I'd like to hear more of your thoughts on that.
I got you. Well, just there's times in this. Well, there's lots of times in this league where you're not going to feel your best. Whether it's injuries, whether it's travel, the amount of games in a week, all that kind of stuff. And so I think in those situations, you have to make sure, one, you play with your brain, and you play smart hockey, and you don't try to force things. This team's probably a good example of a team that they don't really force much, and as a result, they don't give much up, and they kind of almost make the game, kind of play a long ground game that they eventually have won more than they've lost. And that's kind of how you got to play when you don't have your best hockey, is you can't go out and try to win every shift and force it. So you got to take what's given and understand the game's 60 minutes and look for your opportunities. So, I don't expect that, in a situation here. That would be more, maybe you're in that Anaheim game and it's your fourth or whatever, fifth and 8 days and it's back to back. But, we had yesterday off. We should be energized tonight and play with our full legs.
How have you seen them? You've got a bunch of guys who've never played a full NHL season.
They're
a third of the way through. How have you seen them handle the grind?
Yeah, well, that's I think that it's been up and down. It's been a like an ebb and flow to it, and that's a reminder. I think Frankie, he had 80 games or something like that. He has, he hasn't even completed a full season over the course of 2 years. I think Kai's is at 100. He hasn't played a whole bunch of full seasons, and it's just a learned thing. So I think it's how have I seen us do it? Some nights good and some nights not. And I think it's a learning thing. It really is. I thought in Detroit, even though we needed some really, really big saves, I thought we played a pretty good road game on a game that would have been easy not to have our best stuff. Based on the length of the trip and stuff like that. Obviously in Buffalo, it wasn't that. You know, we played what I would say a poor kind of road game where we didn't have our best stuff. So it's part of the process with our guys is just continue to learn how to handle those moments.
It's kind of weird you've only had that one back-to-back so far. I think there's 3 back-to-backs this month. Is that something you're going to be focused on, those second legs of that?
Well, it's just, that part of it for sure, right? As the back-to-backs build through the course of the year, you have to make sure, you can never use it as a crutch. Everybody has them, and you got to find a way to win them. And so just understand when you don't have your best stuff, finding a way to make sure that you can still play efficient hockey. Don't give much up, and then look for opportunities to attack.
That is Jeff Blashill, courtesy of your Chicago Blackhawks. So here is the lineup for tonight's game. Bedard with Green and Burakovsky, Nazar centering Moore and Bertuzzi, Dickinson, Teravainen, Mikheyev, and then you've got Doc and Donato as your 10th and 11th forward. Vlasic and Crevier, Kaiser, Levshov, Grzelcyk, and Murphy, and then you've got Sam Renzel as the extra. Spencer Knight once again gets the starting goal. I'm going to make a hot take right now. Frank Nazar is scoring in this game.
It's
happening.
We pumped the tires of Oliver Moore on Tuesday's pregame show, and he goes out and scores. So why not try it again with Frank Nazar? We already got a $2 super chat from History Racer, a loyal diehard. $2 that Nazar ends his goalless streak tonight. Yeah, it's been October 28th was the last time he scored a goal. He's still been effective. He's still been putting up some points, getting assists and everything. And I think one of the things that makes him unique, and one of the guys that I think you can continue to point to as like a guy that you feeds the room energy and other guys feed off of, is that he plays the way where even if he's not on the score sheet, he can impact the game. The speed he has, the mentality he has, the defensive interests and responsibilities he has in his game. He's a guy that can impact it without having to put up points. And we've seen other players the opposite of that, where if they're not putting up points, they're invisible. And Nazar's a guy that I think, even though the goal drought has been a talking point amongst people like us, he's still going at it, and he's still putting in really great efforts.
Yeah, I think the Vegas game was his best game in a long time. Like, he looked like, oh, okay, I think he's, whatever has been bothering him might be, behind him. He really had that extra burst and a step. That line was fabulous in the first period. They kind of tapered off a little bit, and he made a couple plays there where you were like, oh, Frank, what are we doing? But overall, he looked really good that last game. So they're going to need his speed of that line tonight against LA. They're, as Connor Bedard said the last time they played them, they're a boring team. Like, they just want to slow you down, muck up the neutral zone. So Moore and Nazar on the outside, getting wide, getting in the zone, that's going to be helpful tonight if they want a chance to win.
Drew Doughty also activated off IR for the Kings today, so he'll be back in the lineup, and not quite the guy he used to be, but what he lacks now in the athletic ability he used to have, he makes up for in wisdom and knowing where to be. And yeah, this is an annoying team to play against, and I think this is an opportunity for the Hawks to really use their speed. And you mentioned Frank Nazar in the game against Vegas, and I go back to a play that was him and Moore. Moore chases down a puck in the corner on the forechecking, gets it right to Nazar in a slot, who kind of like hits it off the toe of the stick, doesn't get all of it, but it's just those guys using their speed. And I think a team like LA that's veteran, that's heavy, that's big, that play, they're not all slow, but they play a slower, more intentional kind of a game, I guess you would say. This is an opportunity to, instead of trying to skate through the Kings, which you can't really do, get the puck deep and go and get it and use your speed and create chances that way. So that's part of the reason I'm picking Nazar to score, because I think that line is uniquely designed to have success against the Kings.
Yeah, they don't play that much different than Vegas. Vegas plays that heavier style. They're a huge team. Yeah. They might be the biggest team in the league. So they had to use that speed on Tuesday night, and they did that first period, and it was really good. You mentioned Drew Doughty coming back. He's not as young as he used to be. He missed the last 7 games with a foot injury. Let's see if he can skate. Go right at him. I'm serious.
Right. Use
that speed and say, okay, old man, can you hang with us? And make him work right away, and see if you can exploit a weakness early in the game and take advantage of it.
Yeah, and using that speed that this group has, especially that trio, that's going to be key in this game to keep the Kings on their heels, because they've had some goal scoring issues in their last couple of games. I think it's been 15 goals over the last 8 games. Like that's a little bit of their own kind of scoring drought for a team that, you pencil into the playoff picture in the West. So if the Hawks can be on their toes and play fast and control the puck, you can take advantage of a Kings team that's having a little bit of a downswing in their offensive production. You could take advantage of that, and being able to make the job a little bit easier for Spencer Knight by controlling the puck more yourself. That's going to be good, because night in and night out for him, he's going to be able to give you a really good performance, and you can bank on that. And if he doesn't have to make 40 saves tonight or whatever, I think that's a winning recipe for them.
Yeah, you mentioned that the Kings are 28th in the league in goals per game, but they almost get 29 shots per game. So their 9.2 shooting percentage is 31st out of 32 teams. So they shoot the puck, they just don't shoot the puck past the goalie very often. They don't have a ton of those dynamic goal scorers. They don't have a Connor Bedard or a Frank Nazar who can sneak a goal on you. They have Adrian Kempe, who's really good, but he's just the one guy. The rest of their goals kind of come from using their size, getting in front of the net, getting those second chance plays, and those are the type of plays that killed the Blackhawks the other night. Mm-hmm. So this is a night where Spencer Knight needs to reel in the rebound control, and then when he doesn't, those big defensemen need to be there and clearing out that crease. If you limit the second chances to this team, those second, third chance shots, you have a much better chance at beating them.
Kings goal scoring leader is Kevin Fiala, 10 goals in 26 games this season.
Yeah, they have a really weird. Usually, when I put together the team leaders for a game, it's usually like the same guy, goals, points, assists, or maybe it's a different guy for goal and assist, but one of those guys is point. They have a different guy leading in goals, a different guy leading in assists, a different guy leading in points, and a different guy leading in power play goals. It's so weird. I mean, that's balanced offense, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
But they don't have that dominant. Kevin Fiala leads with 10 goals. Quentin Byfield leads 15 assists. Adrian Kempe has 23 points, and it's Anze Kopitar with 83 or 3 power play goals. Kempe leads the team with 83 shots. So, a balanced attack.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, that's certainly a way to spin it.
But that just tells you that they've got 3 to 4 lines that can score on you. They don't have a dominant player. They don't have a dominant line.
It's different than Bedard.
Right. They don't have a dominant player. They don't have a dominant line, but they have 4 lines that can get it done. So you have to be aware of that. You can't take any shifts off because they have lines that will make you pay.
Yeah, and Giggity says the Kings are such a boring team to watch. It's going to be a boring trap game all night. It is, but you've got to kind of, like we were saying earlier, you've got this sort of personnel where you feel like you could beat the trap. Use your youth, use your speed, and do it. Darcy Kemper's getting a start for the Kings tonight. 237 goals against, and 908 save percentages. He's got a shutout this year, so good numbers for him. So he's going to be a challenge as well. It's not going to be an easy one, but I feel like, I don't know, the way the Hawks played against Vegas and the way they played against Anaheim, I feel like they've got to be feeling pretty confident. They got to be feeling pretty good. And LA feels like a team that is beatable, is gettable. I feel like the Hawks should be a really tough matchup for the Kings instead of the other way around. And I would like to see that show itself tonight.
Yeah, I think.
And the next game.
I think as you want to see the Blackhawks be able to play their game and not dictate how the Kings are going to play, not be dictated by how the Kings are going to play and fall into it. And I think if they can do that and getting off on the right foot is important. They've given up the first goal of the game early in their last 2 games. If they can be the ones to score first, that would be a nice change of pace. And that allows them to kind of, get on the Kings early. And if you can get the Kings to have to dig in and play offensively and not play back and play, play stalwart defensively and then counterattack, if you have to force them to go offensive, then I think you can kind of get them out of their preferred structure. And if you do that, then then I think you're at the advantage with your speed and your skill. And if Connor Bedard is having the kinds of games he's had recently, like that's a guy that can break the game open.
We have some breaking hockey news.
Oh boy.
The Colorado Avalanche have lost in regulation.
No. Oh, wow.
No.
6-3 to the Islanders.
The mighty Islanders.
So that's
Patrick
their-
Waugh
No.
revenge game, baby.
Yeah, how about
Woo!
that?
Got 'em.
Take that, Avalanche.
Revenge for the Stanley Cup and the great end of his career.
Well, he coached
that.
them
For
He
Oh,
got-
yeah,
yeah.
he did coach them.
Yeah.
That's right.
Remember that? That was a weird experiment.
That was a weird experiment.
Well,
I'm
we're
surprised he's lasted as long in New York
York.
as he has.
on the island. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have thought that would have been a short-term thing, but good for the Islanders. They're the second team to beat the Avalanche this season in regulation. That is pretty wild to say as we're a couple days into December.
It's a feather in their cap.
Yeah.
They can hang a banner for that.
It's not natural.
That's the Predators. The Predators do that.
And Islanders have real banners.
They do have-
They've
yeah.
actually won
They
Stanley
actually have
Cups.
some banners,
Mario
yes.
wasn't alive when they happened, but
Yeah.
they still won Stanley Cups.
That's true.
I got a super chat from Nick Holton. He says, how many likes on the post show to get a CHGO watch along for the next ESPN game to save everyone from the horrible broadcast?
Wait, you're not-
That's
you-
actually not a horrible
You
idea.
can't wait for the Roxy Bernstein experience, whoever the hell that is.
800 likes.
I saw her at the Crazy Rock in
Roxy Bernstein.
96.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's just it's, I'm not looking forward to that.
I think
They
it'll
just
be
keep getting worse and worse.
I think at I
Roxy
don't-
Bernstein is at least a professional
Yeah, I don't have
broadcaster.
any experience with a Roxy Bernstein broadcast, but I think if he at least just plays it straight, even if he's just, I'm broadcaster man, I'll take that over the
I'm not a broadcaster,
weird
man. I'm doing it
broadcast
anyway.
that was Tuesday
Just
night.
pronounce the names right and identify people correctly.
Sure.
That's a
yeah.
low bar.
Isn't it?
Do that,
It shouldn't be.
and it will be 100% better than the last two piss poor broadcasts that
Yeah.
that leader in sports provided us.
And Cassie Campbell Pascal is also on the broadcast, who is in the, what was it? I just saw it, the IIHF Hall of Fame class. So good for her. And now she's on the broadcast.
Hey, just, do your job. Know who the players are. We talked about this at the end of the last show. We don't need to rehash it, but I feel like Steve Levy and Kevin Weeks sat down and were like, who's playing?
Well, it was the same thing with the Bucci
Who's on the team?
the previous one.
Yeah.
Who was who was with Bucci Gross in that game? Was it Campbell Pascal in that one too?
Which game was it?
The one Bucci Gross was in town when they did that horrible.
No,
who
that
the-
was he was doing play-by-play.
Right. Who was the
And
analyst?
The
that night?
analyst, I
who
can't,
kept saying Sam Dickinson instead of Jason Dickinson. I don't know.
I
Well, it doesn't
can't
matter.
remember.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
What their name is.
But yeah, just do some research, guys. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, just don't show up 5 minutes before. You're not good. You're not Patrick Sharp. You can't pull a Patrick Sharp because at least Patrick Sharp knew what he was doing. Knew what he was talking about. Show
Yeah.
up 5 minutes before and leave the second.
be on
to-
the first elevator
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, I like this idea though of doing watch alongs during ESPN
I mean,
broadcasts
why
because we
not?
could really capitalize on some annoyed Hawks fans.
Yeah, we could.
All right, we'll pass that. We'll what do you call
Screw
it?
it.
Slide up the flagpole.
Tonight's a watch along.
We'll circle back.
Get a TV in here.
Back. We'll put a pin in it. We'll get back to you after the holiday.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I saw it early in the chat, and I've been feeling it lately. And I think as people have had some time off of work for holidays, they're starting to get more of a focus on the Hawks. I saw Dan Bernstein actually acknowledged the Blackhawks on his podcast today, which is
Wow.
crazy.
How about that? First time
Um,
since 2015.
I'm seeing a lot of new names in the chat
Mm-hmm.
today, and I've seen them in post games recently. Most of them great. There is a lot of interest here, and this is kind of an opportunity here for the Hawks to grab hold. The Bulls are kind of falling apart with injuries and poor performance. Obviously, the Bears are in top of everybody's mind with the big Packers game this weekend. But it's an opportunity here for the Hawks to put some away. You got a late night audience. Get some wins here. Get some points, right? I feel like it's a winnable game tonight. Obviously, it'll be a winnable game on Saturday too. I really want to see them kind of build on this momentum that they've gathered over the last few games. Because look, you got these games for Bedard. Even the Vegas game they lost. that didn't feel like a loss.
Right,
You see
yeah.
all the social media highlights of the shootout goal and the other insane goal that Bedard scored, and I think the level of respect that those teams have gotten, before the season and up to now, that they're right there with them. The Hawks are starting to pick up some steam in town and nationally. So getting wins on as poor of a broadcast as it is, it's still ESPN. People are still watching it. So I want to see them capitalize on that. Take advantage.
Yeah, there's definitely a rise in interest and just fun around this team. You have games that you actually want to tune into, besides what Connor Bedard is going to do. Spencer Knight is a guy that a lot of people around the league are interested in. Frank Nazar is a guy that's built up a reputation for himself. People want to see Renzel and Levshinov as the rookies, and then too, on top of that, Connor Bedard has transformed his game and become even more of must-see TV, to the point where, he's fighting his way into the Team Canada conversation and making his selection to that team almost undeniable at this point, and it would make Hockey Canada look silly if they left him at home. So I think that's a big thing that people within Chicago are caring about and tuning into, and people around the hockey world as well. Like I'll listen to some national hockey podcasts, and the way that they talk about the Blackhawks now compared to last season, where we got super annoyed that the national narrative was how much of a dumpster fire last season was.
Yeah.
It's glowing now. And it's just like, well, yeah, like this is what we expected this young group to eventually become and turn into. And this is the kind of player we knew Connor Bedard could be. So the people that were slinging doom and gloom and calling him a bust was like, well, no, this is what was underneath all of it.
It also feels like since the latest hat trick and the great performances he's had, that like a lot of the online interaction, which, a grain of salt, obviously, on all of it. But when you see a Bedard highlight now and you go to the comments, it's not all people crapping all over him. It's like, this guy's got to be on Team Canada. Like, people are, obviously he's putting together performances that you can no longer deny his ability and deny his impact and deny his talent. But it feels like it went from the resentment of Bedard for the first couple of years that a lot of hockey fans had to now almost, it seems like everyone's kind of really on board with him. And instead of the Bedard versus Celebrini thing, I feel like the Team Canada situation has joined those two factions together. It's the new NWO.
It's the picture of the Bloods and the Crips holding up the red and blue together.
Right.
Yeah,
people have if hockey fans have kind of aligned to say both of these guys need to be on Team Canada. And by the way, let's talk about Matthew Schaefer too, right? Like, I think it's just so good for the game to have Bedard playing so well. But I have noticed a very significant shift in the way not only Bedard is talked about, but just I think the Hawks in general. It is definitely shifting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and winning does that, and I think with Bedard, where you're living up to that pre-draft hype. Like this season, you are that guy that everybody said you were going to be. You were he was very good his first two seasons, but he wasn't that guy. He's that guy now. So I think when you get when you actually start living up to the hype and justifying all that talk, people are like, oh, okay, I see it now. This is okay. Like it's cool. He's fun. Like I don't know how you can watch, regardless of what you feel about for the Blackhawks. I don't know how you can't watch Connor Bedard play hockey and not enjoy yourself. I mean, it's the same way, back in the day, I felt about Sergei Fedorov. I hated the Red Wings with a passion, but man, when Sergei Fedorov was on the ice, I watched because you didn't know what was coming next. It's the same with Connor McDavid. Love or hate the Edmonton Oilers. If you don't like watching Connor McDavid play hockey, you're not a real hockey fan. There's something wrong with you, because that's when the best are playing at their best, regardless of what jersey they're wearing. It's great, captivating television.
Well, it's funny you mentioned those names, because all those guys have something in common where if you're watching their games, you can't take your eye off them, because every time they have the puck, something's happening. Maybe it's not always great, but especially with Bedard the first 2 years, but when the puck is on the stick of Bedard and Fedorov and McDavid, and I remember like my first years as a big hockey fan, like Pavel Bure was a guy, like the second he touches a puck, something cool is about to happen. And they force you to focus on them when you watch the game because they pop off the screen so differently than any other player, because just your mind's eye is like, that's different. That looks different from the other guys out there. That guy looks different from the rest.
It's a different level.
And Bedard this year especially is so, he just stands out. It's like there's a constant spotlight on him when you're watching the games.
Yeah, I mean it's that generational label now starting to fit him, and I like the point that I forget who made it recently, but generational doesn't need to necessarily mean generational across the league. It can be generational for your organization as well. And I know that's going to sound like moving goalposts, but I think if you look at what Connor Bedard is turning into, he's very clearly going to be the best player on the Blackhawks for a considerable amount of time. Just like, you can make the argument for Taves and or Kane that they were the best player for their entire careers while they were on the Blackhawks. And Bedard's going to definitely be that guy. And then as he continues to grow, because this is just, we're not even halfway through year 3 of his career. He's 20 years old. Like, he's going to get better than this, and he's on a 120-point pace. Like, it just makes you more excited for, like, okay, this is actually the light at the end of the tunnel that we were talking about for years upon years. And you get excited every game. It seems like he's got the opportunity to do something crazy, to make a highlight reel play. And it's not just like, oh, what's Bedard going to do? Oh, he scored 3 goals, hat trick, and they lost 6-3. Like, no, like he's doing it, and they're actually like in games, and like the team around him is giving him, that supporting cast that he didn't have for the first 2 years, and they're winning games, and it doesn't have to be just him. It can be Spencer Knight stealing him a game. It could be Frank Nazar going off. It could be Oliver Moore scoring. It could be, Ryan Donato getting, a multi-point game that leads them to a win. Like, it doesn't have to just be him, but he has the capability of doing it by himself now.
Young Dangle God is in the chat giving us $1 as always. Says, I could think of another guy who caught my eye every time he touched the pucks, and apparently he's still in the league. We should resign him. Talking, of course, about Patrick Kane, as he always does. But an interesting note here from Aaron Portsline: the Wings are playing Columbus tonight. Patrick Kane scored his 29th goal against Columbus, the most by a single opponent. So no one has scored more goals against Columbus than Patrick Kane. The other two are Alex Ovechkin and Patrick Sharp.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the
Blackhawks and Blue Jackets were in the same
division for a little while.
Yeah.
When the Blue Jackets were really bad, they were the Hawk. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. The 2 Blackhawks have the highest goals against them.
It's a cool note.
Yeah,
interesting. The other thing to keep an eye on tonight too, and Jeff Blashill addressed it. Sam Renzel played 9+ minutes,
9.5.
Last game.
One shift.
There was some thought maybe he would be scratched today. He is not. He's in the lineup. I'll be very interested to see how his minutes shake out today, because he's had his struggles. I think maybe a little more than any of us expected based on what we saw at the end of last year. But Blashill keeps giving him that vote of confidence of he's been a good player more than he's been a bad player. And we believe in him, and he's looked good, and he's proven to be a great player in this league before, and we know he can get back there. He's saying all the right things. I just wonder, if this is a one-off, the 9.5 minute thing, or if it's going to start to be a trend, and if there would be some consideration to send him down. For the record, I'm not doing it. Maybe sit him for a game if you must and go 12-6, but I think Sam Renzel is going to be fine. Let him work it out. He's a confident kid. What do you guys think?
Blashill recently said that he's a big believer in learning by doing, and I think that's the approach he's taking with Renzel, is that, like, if you're going to learn from mistakes, then you got to go out and make them. And I think he's okay living with that, especially with the 7 defenseman rotation. I agree. I'm not at the point where I think Renzel is played himself out of a lineup spot. But I think at this point you're kind of like, I feel like I'm kind of teetering on if it keeps being performances that gets you benched in the third period, then maybe there is something to taking maybe an extended leave from the NHL and maybe playing some minutes in the AHL. And like we never thought he'd go down there. I don't think a lot of people expected that to be the case. But if it needs to be, so be it. That's why. That's why.
And Korchinski's been good, so I'll give him a chance.
That's why teams have the minor leagues so players can go down there and figure things out and come back and be better.
Is that why? Fascinating.
Well, and the money too.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
That too.
I don't think we're at the point he needs to go to Rockford yet.
No, not yet. No.
No, I don't think he's been as bad as some people would suggest. The advantage of the 7 defensemen is you can send your message and not play him in the third period and not overtax anybody else out there. So we'll see. I mean, he's had some struggles in his own zone, but I like how Blashill addressed it and what he said in the pregame we heard earlier. And he's never been a he's never been a liability on the ice. He's playing like a rookie defenseman plays. To be honest with you, like his lowest points is still not nearly as bad as the low points that we saw Kevin Korchinski in his rookie year. It's not even close.
Or Jacob Begna.
Right. And he was a veteran. It's if you got to pull back his minutes, fine. If you got to scratch him a game or two, fine. I don't think we're ready for the Rockford part just yet, but you never know. As you mentioned, Korchinski playing well, maybe swap him out for a few days and see what happens. But the overall, I don't think he's been terrible.
All right, something to keep an eye on tonight. We'll be back as soon as the game ends. Late night postgame show. Make sure you're here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.